Hello, everyone. It's Lydia back from what turned out to be a wonderful holiday season. I got to travel back to Detroit and I got to see my family and spend time with them. And I'm still not done like catching up. I still have to like make some calls to like people that I haven't seen for quite a while or who I got gifts from. But yeah, it was really nice, really nice. I hope all of you had a good holiday. Um, Sending lots of love to you guys, of course, and your families. Um, and I just have a few updates for you before we jump into lesson one. Well, actually, just like maybe a couple of updates before we jump into lesson 158. So, yeah, what was the first update? So the first update, guys, I can't even believe it. It like slips my mind. It totally slips my mind, and I was like going to talk about the course, but I don't remember. When it comes back to me, I'll let you know. I know what it was. I know what it was. Okay, so the workbook. I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, but we'll start the workbook. I have decided the 1st of February. The 1st of February as opposed to the 1st of January, which is already passed. So the 1st of February, I'm going to start the workbook, and you guys are free to join along if you want, or maybe you've already started it. Good for you. Good for you. Although, all time is an illusion, which we'll sort of get into tonight. But yeah, February 1st, and I'll post it in my Returning to Love group as well on Facebook. Yeah, and secondly, I want to like get some like real camera equipment. Like I've got a ring light, but I'm like shooting this through the camera like on my Mac, which I guess is, it's good for its purposes, but the picture isn't the clearest. So I'm going to be investing in like a real actual camera, real actual like camera equipment. So, to give you guys a better look, to give you a better sound. Yeah, and I hope that will just be like a better overall visual interactive, I guess, experience for everybody that watches my stuff, watches my videos on A Course in Miracles. I'm still undecided as to whether I'm going to keep operating under the name Returning to Love, or just the Returning to Love show, or just like go by the name Lydia McCarty. Because it would be kind of cool for people to, just be able to look up my name and see just for me to just be known as a course student and as a sharer of the teachings of the course, just under my name. And I can just like have a channel for myself and just do like interviews through that, like periodically. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. Okay, guys. So let's get into it. Lesson 158. Now I'm going to be like reading off my Kindle and the notes that I had that I made to prepare the show. But I do, like, if you guys have the actual physical book, which I do like on the side, even though I'm not going to be using it, it's page 298 of the workbook. 298 of the workbook. And it's lesson 158. Today I learned to give as I receive. And this is one of my absolute favorite lessons, even though there are so many amazing ones. They're all important in the course. But this was one that stands out to me because it covers a few things here. We cover Um, we cover the golden rule, which like everybody learns in preschool, but how many of us like live by it? But what I like about this lesson is that Jesus really takes us through why we should be living by the golden rule. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And he sort of gives an explanation on why we have to come to do that. And this is something that, I was thinking like Christianity today, mainstream Christianity sort of teaches that Jesus came to die for our sins. And you sort of get the idea that I don't have to do this because Jesus already did it for me. Jesus clearly explains in the course that no, this is something in order to realize your true identity and to awaken from the dream of separation. Everybody has to come to live like this and to master this at some point. It's really not a choice. Jesus says in the course that he wasn't special. Like, down here in the dream of separation, we love specialness because it furthers the dream of separation. It keeps us locked into it. But Jesus said, no, I'm not special. And although I, in the illusion of time, which we'll also get into, because in this lesson, Jesus sort of tells us, what time is. So even though he mastered this seemingly earlier in time, we all have to master this lesson of the golden rule, as attaining spiritual sight and learning to see beyond physical form and to learn to love our brothers as ourselves. So yeah, we'll go into the golden rule. We go into the trick of linear time, and there was also your innocence. Well, I want to read I won't read every single piece of this lesson, but I will read most of it. But one thing that I want to talk about is our innocence. And I think it's important. The course always stresses our innocence. And I think that's important because how many of us really think of ourselves as sinless and completely innocent? And so getting in touch with that innocence is really important, because that's your true self, the innocent child of God, the innocent son of God. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So page 298, I'm going to start with paragraph 1 here, which goes into the innocence of God's son that we could never, ever, ever lose, and which I find comforting, because the dream of separation, the worlds of form, will absolutely have you, you thinking you're guilty and you have sinned and you're wrong and you're not worthy. And then these things, that they manifest in our projected individual movies, right? They manifest as, depression or low self-esteem, or us feeling like we're being punished, or, we'll project it out onto someone else in our life. It's the president who's the cause of all. The president, he's the guilty one, or somebody else in our life. We'll project it out onto them. Forgetting that we wrote the script in the first place. So it's really our own. It's really our own guilt that we're projecting outward onto someone else. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So paragraph 1, what has been given you? The knowledge that you are a mind, in mind, and purely mind, sinless forever, wholly unafraid, because you were created out of love, nor have you left your source, remaining as you were created. This was given you as knowledge which you cannot lose. It was given as well to every living thing, for by that knowledge only does it live. Okay, so the theology of the course, for those that who may stumble upon this video and who don't know, is that the only truth there is God is the only truth, and God is love and oneness, and that's all there really, and that's all there is. And God creates, and you could call these creations His children, because God is oneness. His children cannot really be apart from Him. But the course posits that, but the course says that one of His creations on down the line, and Jesus, and it's being described in a way that we as humans can understand it, because we don't really know in our form here as seemingly individual beings, in our dreams as individuals, in a world of physical form, what oneness is, what formlessness is. In another part of the course, they call it a oneness joined as one. Well, what is that? So this is how it's being described to us, so that we can get so that we can have some kinds of, so that we can understand it intellectually at some level. Okay, so God's Son fell into a dream, the dream of separation. And this was the fall of man that you hear so much about in, other religions, mythologies. You find it all over. And the fall of man, or the fall into matter, into separation. And so this is a dream of the world that we're experiencing as individuals. It's a dream of separation projected outwards. So we're all separate from each other. We're all in different bodies. We all have different private thoughts, even though the course says, a private thought is impossible. And this is all projected outwards, using the trick of time and space and matter. But what Jesus is saying here, He's reinforcing, as He does all throughout the course, that separation from God could never happen. Oneness with God is the only truth there is. And though our experience is that of being in, of dreaming of being an actual individual with a name and a life story and dreams and careers and goals and things like that. Jesus is basically saying that's impossible. We remain as God created us. We remain in heaven with the Father, united as one, sinless, innocent. And again, I think that's, it's a really beautiful reminder, because, I know for most of us, we believe, that we actually could make a mistake, that we could be unloving, that we could be uncaring, and that deep in the collective unconscious, there is a belief that we have sinned, that we're fallen. And just look outside at the world. Just turn on the TV, just turn on the news, It's all the belief in separation. And with separation, with the dream of separation, you get guilt, which, breeds hatred of others and ourselves and all this illusory stuff. But Jesus is saying here, none of that could have ever happened. We remain exactly as God created us. Love, pure love, innocent, sinless. And I think one of the best things about the Course, I think, is, the constant reminder that that is your true nature. And yeah, I love that. We remain as God created us. Okay. So I want to go into paragraphs 3 to 4, where Jesus talks about time and our inevitable awakening. He doesn't, in another part of the Course, I know Jesus states, here he talks about how time is an illusion, but in another part of the Course, I believe he says, like, the time that we, like, us being awakening from the dream, that's already happened. That has already happened for us. Although in the illusion of time and space, we haven't realized that yet. So here, I'm going to read paragraph 3 and 4, where he really gets into, what time is. And I'll just give my opinions about that and like what I got from it. Okay. The time is set already. It appears to be quite arbitrary. Yet there is no step along the road that anyone takes but by chance. It has already been taken by him, although he has not yet embarked on it. For time but seems to go in one direction. We but undertake a journey that is over, yet it seems to have a future still unknown to us. Time is a trick, a sleight of hand, a vast illusion in which figures come and go as if by magic. Yet there is a plan behind appearances that does not change. The script is written. When experience will come to end your doubting has been set. For we but see the journey from the point at which it ended, looking back on it, imagining we make it once again, reviewing mentally what has gone by. Wow. So this is something about the Course that has always blown my mind. When Jesus describes our experience of time as us reviewing mentally that which has already gone by. And, nobody really knows what time is. Nobody can really prove that it does exist. It seems like it's just an agreed upon concept to measure change. And that's another thing. That's how you know. Jesus says change is impossible. There's only oneness. There's only love, which is stillness. Love recognizes nothing but itself. It is everything. It's oneness. There's no such thing as change in heaven. Change is a projection of separation. Okay, so back to time again. Time seems to be some kind of measure concept, some kind of agreed upon concept to measure change that we have here. Time is, it's 7:19 here where I am, 7:19 p.m., but somewhere else it's 7:19 a.m. It's the next day. And then you think about like the past and the present, the past, present, and the future. Where's the past? At this moment, it only exists like in my mind, thinking about it. And the present, it only exists in my mind, thinking about it here in the now. The now, like the endless now. Everything is the now. Even like if you go and grab a picture, the picture, you have the picture in the now, and then you get into thinking about how no one remembers time exactly the same. Somebody can remember something that, supposedly happened 10 years ago one way, and someone else will have seen it. Someone else that was also there will say they saw it in a totally different way. And there's also, that saying that history is written by the victors. Yeah, so it's really fascinating. Like, what is time? And here Jesus is saying that time is a trick. Like, everything happened at that original instant. And I remember, I think in the course it says, or Kenneth Wapnick says, everything happened at that one instant of the dream of separation. It was also over at that one instant. Kenneth Wapnick, Gary Renard, I can't remember. But there was a saying that everything that happens here is a shadowy fragment of that which has already happened. And it reminds me of that, a popular theory that says that the universe is holographic, and that every piece of, like, down to every like subatomic particle is holographic and contains the whole within it. And like me being an astrologer, obviously I see that there's some truth to that. And there was an example that I think David Icke gave this example of time, of like bodies being biological computers, extremely advanced from what humans think of computers. But since it's a holographic universe, a fractal universe, we see it like computers are basically reflecting ourselves. And so he gave the example of a DVD. Like a DVD, when you get it, it has the whole movie already on it. Everything from beginning to end, everything that happens already, right? And we experience it scene by scene when we put it into the computer and the laser decodes it scene by scene. And so it sounds like that's what Jesus is describing about time to us now. Your lifetime, this lifetime that you're experiencing now, and every other lifetime that you have lived or may live, or that you're gonna live if you have any more or whatever. That's already happened, and it's already over. But we review mentally. The body computer is reviewing mentally that which has already gone by. And so that sort of helps to put things into perspective, at least for me. Like, I've always been really fascinated by time because, we let ourselves be ruled by time, but what is it? What is it? And here Jesus talks about how, it's a trick. The time and space is an illusion. And then if you start to, learn more about quantum physics and that sort of thing, which I'm not an expert by any means, please, but it is really interesting. It does seem to, like the findings, they do seem to support what a lot of spiritually advanced people have said. So goes to show you. All right, so we did that. We went through paragraph 3 and 4. I just wanted to also bring in this quote from Albert Einstein. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Albert Einstein. And, it also sort of brings to mind, what power do we like as far as our life, how much power do we really have? And like being an astrologer, like when I read charts, it's clear that I'm reading a script, like a birth chart script that has already been written, right? So yeah, it seems like it's a movie. And it seems like our greatest point of power is not what's going on out there on the screen, but how we interpret that. Who do we interpret that with? Because the mind wants to assign meaning, right? So the mind is going to assign meaning based on the thought system that it adheres to. So you got the ego, who you can ask to interpret, and then you have the Holy Spirit and Jesus, who you can ask to interpret. Really, that's your greatest power in life, not what's going on out on the screen of your life at all. It's how you interpret it. It's going inside to the projector, or like looking from it outside of the movie, like as a member of the audience, and just being what others have called the observer. And yeah, really interesting. Okay, I want to go through paragraphs 7 to 10, Christ's vision, aka the golden rule. We have arrived at it, guys. Simple, but not easy for human beings, right? Okay, paragraphs 7 through 10. I'm going to read all of these. Christ's vision has one law. It does not look upon a body and mistake it for the Son whom God created. It beholds a light beyond the body, an idea beyond what can be touched, a purity undimmed by errors, pitiful mistakes, and fearful thoughts of guilt from dreams of sin. It sees no separation, and it looks on everyone, on every circumstance, all happenings and all events, without the slightest fading of the light it sees. This can be taught and must be taught by all who would achieve it. It requires but the recognition that the world cannot give anything that faintly can compare with this in value, nor set up a goal that does not merely disappear when this has been perceived. And this you give today. See no one as a body. Greet him as the Son of God he is, acknowledging that he is one with you in holiness. Thus are his sins forgiven him, for Christ has vision that has power to overlook them all. And his forgiveness are they gone. Unseen by one, they merely disappear, because a vision of the holiness that lies beyond them comes to take their place. It matters not what form they took, nor how enormous they appeared to be, nor who seemed to be hurt by them. They are no more, and all effects they seem to have are gone with them, undone and never to be done. Thus are his sins forgiven him, for Christ has the power to overlook them all. Oh, I just read that, guys. Cross that out. Okay, Christ's vision. So I think that's mostly it from those paragraphs. Okay, so the world seems and feels so real. It seems like, I'm a body. I have a name, Lydia. I was born on December 5th. I have a past. I lived in Detroit, then I moved to New York. I worked here, I worked here, I worked here. I know him, I know her, I know him, I know her. I'm not too fond of him. I'm not too fond of her. I'm not too fond of them. He did this to me 10 years ago. She did that to me 5 years ago. Okay, so we've got these stories that we make up, these meanings that we assign to things based on past events that, most of the time they're not even accurate. And, these beliefs and ideas about ourselves, and then our senses, sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing, they all seem to reinforce the idea that this world is real. Time and space and matter are real. And with that, like, if you believe that and you identify with just your body and your life story, eventually you will come to see yourself as small, because there's nothing else that you could be compared to the world. You'd see yourself as small and a victim of the world, or somebody that has to victimize others in order to not be victimized, right? And it's like everything is like everything outside of us, including your own body, because your own body is outside of you. Everything outside of us is just like screaming, you are so and so and so and so. David Icke, he's one of my, I'll mention David Icke a lot. He's one of my faves. He calls it the phantom self, right? And like form in the physical world, it can be so blinding. Oh my gosh. And I think in the Course, Jesus called us insane. If you see a world out there and you believe you're seeing a world out there, and you're reacting to a world, and you're reacting in a way that is not loving to a world out there, then you're delusional. You're dreaming. And here Jesus, and you're blind, we're blind, really. And here Jesus talks about true sight, which is spiritual sight, or as he calls it, Christ vision. Christ's vision is loving and sees beyond the form to our true identity as love itself. Love is oneness. It sees no differences. It does not see differences. If you see things with only the body's eyes, if you believe the world, all you would see out there is separation, duality, victim, victimizer, winner, loser, rich, poor, lucky, unlucky. And Christ's vision, which is what we can develop when we ask for Jesus and the Holy Spirit to help us interpret the world. It sees beyond the form to love itself. It sees other people as love, as their true spiritual identity, which is love as well. And as a part as a part of you. They are you. They are me. You are me, right? And, you know, again, I sort of mentioned how, like, a lot of, mainstream, Christianity is the one that I'm really familiar with. Mainstream Christianity, not as Jesus intended it to be taught, which he talks about in the course. Um, you know, most, like, a lot of Christians, I'm not going to say most, but like a lot of Christians, they don't, like, a lot of people who proclaim to be Christians. I don't know if I'd call them Christians, but I don't want to pick on anybody here. I don't want to pick on anybody here, but it's just something that I've noticed. I've done it too. Okay, I'm not completely innocent. I'm not innocent of this in the dream in any way. I've behaved in this way too. Jesus died for my sins, so I don't have to be like him, or I can't be like him. Jesus clearly says here in lesson 158 that in order to awaken from the dream of separation, from the dream of death, from the dream of hate, we all have to acquire Christ's vision. And that is, and he's saying here, that should be your only worthy goal in life. Everything else, it really doesn't matter. This should be attaining Christ's vision, seeing your brother in his true form, and what you think your brother or your sister did to you. Seeing beyond it to the nothingness that it is. Seeing beyond that. That is, that's what we have to do, and it's what we will do, whether it be in the illusion of this life or the next, or whenever, in the illusion of time. We have to become the same as Jesus, because we are the same as Jesus. But we have to realize that and grow up. We have to grow up and attain Christ's vision so that we can see clearly. And seeing clearly is also, okay, I mentioned earlier about the fall of man and how we all believe that we all walk around with some degree of self-loathing at some point in our lives. And it's due to this unconscious feeling of guilt, right? It's just this unconscious feeling of guilt. And so that's why, most people, it gets projected onto the screen of the world as like, I'm depressed, or I'm, some mental illness, or self-loathing. Some people project it on the others, hatred of others. But we all have this inside of us. And the only way to overcome that and to realize its nothingness is to see it, is to give that gift to your brother. Because your brother is yourself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Your brother is you, a projected off part of you in the dream, but they are you, because only oneness is the only truth. And what this means, guys, is that how you feel about yourself is not determined about what you think about you. It's actually determined by what you think about other people. Your freedom and your own realization of your innocence actually lies in releasing your brother from the chains of separation that we've all enchained each other in, right? Because there's only one. It's we all made that decision as one son of God to fall into the dream of separation. So we've all got each other chained, and we've all got each other chained in order to keep this dream going. And your freedom, your ultimate freedom, lies in the freedom that you give others. So Christ's vision is really going beyond what you appear to see in form, right? And it's not so much behaviorally, because you will be in situations where in the dream of the world, you have to, if someone is going to cause danger to his own body or someone else's, then you would act in the most loving way that you can. But in your mind, you must go beyond the form and realize his innocence. That's the script. They're acting out the script that was written at that one moment of that the separation happened and all that stuff happened. The dream happened. But our duty, that's the word that I've been looking for. Our duty is to see beyond the world of form to the true world of heaven, and to recognize our brother's innocence, and in that we'll be able to recognize and remember our own. Also, this brought another realization to me. People and situations that make us the angriest are actually our biggest gifts in life. Because there's always, that usually means that there's something there that you have to forgive. So if someone makes, you feel an angry reaction to something, or, irritated. And of course, in Miracles, they say there's no difference between what is considered rage here in the world and irritation in the world, right? That's an indication, that's a sign that that's something that you have to forgive. And then you can be freed of that by freeing your brother, the person that made you angry, or whatever situation seems to be making you angry. Also, I think in another part of the Course, Jesus called this world the world of shadows. So forms are really shadowy fragments of a process that's going on in the mind. It's either separation or oneness. And to get to oneness from separation, we have to forgive. We have to forgive. And that dissolves the illusory boundaries that we experience in this world. Okay, so I just want to go read the last two sentences of paragraph 11. And it says, "We practice seeing with the eyes of Christ today, and by the holy gifts we give, Christ's vision looks upon ourselves as well. By the holy gifts we give, Christ's vision looks upon ourselves as well." So gifts of love to another are gifts of love to yourself. And that's not just to people. That is down to, being kind to everything. And another part of the Course, Jesus says, Everything down to the smallest grain of sand is God's son and therefore you. So just be kind, be loving, be kind, forgive. I know it's simple it's easy to say, but in the human experience, it's not always easy to do. But if you could remember this lesson 158, turn to lesson 158. It's really so helpful, and also it's really so helpful in remembering that. And also, I just want to end it with a quote from Leonard Cohen, one of my faves. And it says, if you don't become the ocean, you'll be seasick all your life. And that's very true. There will always be something missing if we just believe the dream. There will always be something missing. We'll always have some kind of malcontent, because there's always, there's that memory of heaven and us being with God and being one that lies dormant in the collective unconscious, just waiting to be remembered. And eventually we all will remember it. That's what Jesus says in this lesson. So if you don't become the ocean, remember, you will be seasick all your life. And I think that's it for today. I should be back next week. I want to finish up with chapter 27, I think it was. Let me check my Kindle edition. The hero of the text, chapter 27 of the text. The hero of the dream and the dreamer of the dream. Those are really, really powerful, really, really powerful chapters. Chapter 27, part 7, the dreamer of the dream, and part 8, the hero of the dream. So I want to go over those next week. Really deep stuff. Jesus really lays it out for us, lays out what the world is, and how it's really all a dream, and how to awaken from it and how to see it correctly. All right. So I'll see you guys next week. If anything changes, I'll let you guys know. If you're interested in joining the Returning to Love group on Facebook, you can look for it on Facebook, or email me. I think my email is returningtoloveshow@gmail.com, I think. Or just leave it in the comments and I'll answer it. All right, guys. See you later. I love you. Bye-bye.